To my mind, the single biggest challenge facing businesses is complexity. Climate change, global warming, the global financial crisis. The rate of change in the world in which they operate is far greater than their ability to adapt to it. So many of those organizations bury their head in the sand. She'll be right. Someone else will fix this. It will go away. The rains will come. My markets will return. That's a recipe for disaster. What could they do? They could recognize that it makes so much more sense to seek help, to collaborate, to communicate, to ask questions, and to get a much better understanding of what it is that drives customer behavior, but fundamentally what it is that drives consumer behavior. What does that add up to? The value chain. What is a chain? It's a series of links. What is a value chain? It is a series of organizations that take a product from inputs, seed, genetics, through to a final product that's consumed. In a supply chain model, businesses focus essentially on what they do, and they push product down the chain to the end user. That can be really hard work. In a value chain model, product is pulled through the chain in response to what consumers want and are willing to pay for. It's much easier. The important thing is that the businesses don't change, but their behavior does. In supply chains, relationships are weak because businesses are pushing product with all of their might, irrespective of what the next link wants. Because there's very little trust, information doesn't flow very freely from one organization to another. The blind are leading the blind. There is a race to the bottom. We call it commoditization. In value chains, relationships are strong because we're all being pulled by the consumer. We respond more readily to the consumer. We have a greater chance of survival. Because we have a greater chance of survival through that method of doing business, trust is built. And with that trust, information flows more freely. There is a race to the top. The richer the flow of information, the more likely we are to find segments where we can make more money, where we can be more profitable, and we can stay in business for longer. What's critical in value chains is that our chances of long-term survival are far greater because our fingers on the pulses of the end users of our products. If our fingers are on the pulse, we can respond. Patients dying, you respond. You give them oxygen. If a patient's fit and healthy, you can feed them with rich stuff and they're willing to pay for it. Without the finger on the pulse, you're guessing. And too often, particularly as markets become increasingly competitive, we guess wrong. You can't afford to guess wrong.